everyone. We'd like to start off by welcoming you to our St Francis community. This is the kindergarten team for 2021. So I'm Sandra Shamouni and I teach KC.
And I'm Christy Stevenson and I teach KS.
And I'm Rebecca Batika and I teach KB.
And for those that have never seen us before, this is us. So we thought we'd show you a picture of our classroom since you haven't been in as of yet. So we've got KB, KC and KS. We are in one big module with 3 different rooms. We have 2 diversity teachers in kindergarten. We have Mrs. Sarah Facey, who works Monday to Wednesday, and Mrs. Siobhan Jackson, who works on Thursdays and Fridays. They support us in the classroom and they take children out for small group work. We have a couple of teachers' aides. We have Mrs. Muscat, Mrs. Gatt, Mrs. G and Mrs. Russell, and they float as well and support children with their learning. We have a K-2 instructional leader and her name is Mrs. Louise Gray.
So some of the things that you might be wondering about is what have we been learning this term? Literacy is a big part of our day. We spend our whole morning block with literacy and a large focus we have in kindergarten is on play. And that's building our oral literacy focus incorporated into structured play. And it helps improve talking and listening skills as well as building vocabulary of the students. Some of the play pods that we have, as you can see here on the screen, one is our construction site. So students love going there and working collaboratively together to build an amazing creation. Often we have lots of schools, we've had a cafe, sometimes a water park. Some of the other play pods that we have include the cafe. So we have a cafe, we have a vet, we have a picnic, we have dress ups, we have maths based and fine motor based play pods also. Play-Doh is always very popular, as is the storyboat, where the students can retell a familiar story, dress up as the characters, and use some story stones to sequence the events of the story. Another large part of our literacy block is reading. So our reading consists of all of the teachers take guided reading groups daily, and we read in small groups, developing those concepts of print, reading strategies, and whilst we're doing that, other students are engaging in other reading activities based on phonic knowledge, sight words. It could be a response to our big book, which is our shared text for the week. And we also, at this stage of kindergarten, incorporate some fine motor activities as well. So here are some examples of some of those activities that students might be engaging with. We do use technology in the classroom. So you can see some students using the iPads. We use these for different literacy games. We have specified apps that students can use. It may also be used for students to listen to great examples of reading by other authors. One of the big questions that we've had starting off this year has been, what should be in my child's reading folder? So on this slide, we've given an example of what should come in your child's reading folder every day. So in there, you should have your child's diary. This is a great way to communicate. It should also have their reading log. With the reading log, we ask that you use 1 line per day, and it's just the reading text we have sent home from school. It is fantastic if you were doing extra reading with your students at home with your children, but we ask that you just write down the text that we have sent home from school, please, on this reading log. It should obviously have your child's reading books, so probably no more than 2 or 3 should be in there at any one time, as well as their sight word book. Even though we only usually test sight words on a Monday or a Tuesday afternoon, it would be great if the sight word book could be in there every day, because sometimes there may be opportunities where there's an extra time to practice those sight words. We may need it for another activity that we're doing in the classroom. We do ask that any notes that are sent home from school in the folder be taken out daily. So newsletters or any other notes with important information, if you could take those out of the folder. If they're left in there, it does become very bulky for the students to bring to school. and it can be confusing when they're trying to search for their reading log. As the teacher, we generally will sign their reading log when we read with the group, so that's 2 to 3 times a week. So you may notice that it might be a few days until your child's reading log has been stamped. That's because we will have a look at that when we read with your child, which is generally 2 to 3 times a week. So the other part of our literacy block is writing. When we write in kindergarten, there's a big emphasis on drawing first. So we draw a picture to represent some of the familiar experiences that students have had. So at the moment, there's a big focus on drawing about play and where the children have played and what they've done at play. Other familiar experiences may be around cooking, if we've done some cooking at school, or it could be based on our sight words for the week. So thinking of things that students know, for example, how many siblings do they have, and we may use the word have, which is part of our sight words for the week, to write a message to match our picture. There's also a big emphasis on hearing and recording the sounds in words, so it may not always be spelt correctly as long as students are trying to record the dominant sounds that they can hear in the words at the moment. Here are some examples of our learning intention, of students writing, how we use anchor charts around the classroom. So some of the prompts that we're giving to the students to help them become more independent with their learning and not always relying on teacher assistance. Thinking first, what do I know that can help me? And giving it a go before some kind of intervention.
Okay, you can now see what we also cover in mathematics. There are 3 major areas, which are number, measurement, geometry, and statistics and probability. For term 1, we have had a very strong focus on number. So we've been looking a lot at counting, recognising numbers, the structure of numbers, and how to find more than one way of creating a number. We've also looked at fractions and we've looked at patterns, but right now we are looking also at 2D shapes and how to create them, how to sort them, and how to identify them. And these are just some examples of our most recent activities. So as you can see on the left, that's starting to create triangles using the geoboards and then recording them. And on the right, that's one of our warm-ups, which is all about counting up and down from 1 to 20. In religious education, this term we've been looking at who is my friend. So next term we'll be looking at who is my neighbour. Then in term 3 is what is church. And in term 4 is how is God the Father present to all in our world. So this term, talking about who is my friend, it's how do you know you are being a friend to someone else? What does a good friend look like? And strongly connecting that back to Jesus and how he is a really good friend to us. Then at the end of this term, we are also starting to look at the Easter season and Jesus's Easter journey.
So some of the other key learning areas that we have been looking at this term have been geography, and we've had a big emphasis on the places that we belong to. So we've talked about obviously school being one of those key places, home and our family, as well as church. It could be other sporting groups. I know quite a few are into MMA and soccer, dancing. So we've talked about the different communities that we belong to. We've also talked about why places are special to us, what makes a place special. For science, we have been looking at movement in our world. So we've been experimenting and observing lots of different items and how they move, the forces on them, such as push and pull, and what kind of movement happens if we exert that force on them. So we've talked about bouncing, spinning, rolling. There's a lot of hands-on investigation and quite a lot of topic-specific language in these other key learning areas. The children really enjoy these areas as they can often work in a group to participate in little experiments, and sometimes we work across the grade as well. So it gives students an opportunity to work with people other than the peers in their own class. Creative Arts this term has been a big focus on nursery rhymes, which has been very exciting for the students because they've been very familiar with nursery rhymes such as Humpty Dumpty, Incy Wincy Spider, I'm a Little Teapot. And we've enjoyed singing the songs and then creating some artwork that goes along with it. For the next 2 weeks, we will be focusing on the Easter season. So we will be looking at artworks around Palm Sunday and Easter itself.
For PDHPE, for personal development and health, Mrs. Griffith takes out our kindergarten students, and for physical education, Mr. Andriata takes them. Now that is once a week on a Wednesday. Our other extracurricular activities are music and drama. So Mrs. Attard will take them for drama and Mrs. Gittos will take them for music. And as you can see, they have a lot of fun in these extracurricular activities.
We thought we'd talk about some important skills you could do, you can practice with your children at home. So these are the skills that we try and implement with all of our activities in the classroom as well. So drawing and colouring with the expectation that children are using the right colours and colouring in the whole picture rather than just scribbling or leaving lots of white spaces. So if you're drawing the sky, we shouldn't see the colour green. We should see blue, we should see yellow for the sun, so making sure they're using the correct colours. Explaining their thoughts, so if children are giving, if you're having a conversation with your child, getting them to really explain their thinking. Cutting, we do a lot of cutting in the classroom, different shapes along different lines. They may have to cut out different parts of a picture and place it back together. So practicing using scissors is a great skill you can practice at home. Counting objects, so just anything that you've got at home. So if you've got pasta, beans, pegs, buttons, we in the classroom say push and count. So that way they're moving, they've got the one-to-one counting. So they're moving one object at a time and then counting that. Even recognising numbers in the environment is a great thing to practice. Children writing their name with the correct letter formation, recognising their name and recognising their surname is also a great and very important skill. Encouraging your child to do their best work. And that's something we really try and do in the classroom, making sure they're trying their best, making sure they're proud of their work, using different things in the classroom to support them with their learning. And encouraging them to use their dominant hand, even when eating, when writing, and colouring in. The expectation of following simple 2-step instructions. So we may give 2 or 3 steps in the classroom and present them quite clearly. The expectation that the children listen carefully and try their best to follow through. And a really important point is responding immediately to your requests. So in the classroom, we expect that the children follow through with adult instructions and just listen to the instructions given. So Gubbio, I'm sure you've heard, you may have even seen him at the front gate. Gubbio is our school mascot. So we at our school implement a PBS for All program, and that stands for Positive Behaviour Support for Learning. It's a proactive approach where we acknowledge positive behaviour at our school, and Gubbio is just our school mascot where he implements the 3 rules, and our 3 rules at St Francis are to respect self, respect others, and respect the environment. So as part of our PBS for All program, we have Gubbio tokens, as you can see in the picture, where we hand out in the classroom and on the playground. So the children give that to their classroom teacher in exchange for a stamp on the stamp card. That's just below the picture of the token. And your child may have already received one of these stamp cards and brought it home. So once your child receives 10 Gubbio stamps, they either get some free time in the classroom or a prize from the classroom's prize box. If your child does take any of the Gubbio tokens home, could you please send them back to school? They're to stay in the classroom, but once they have filled up their card, they can bring that home, and that can, that's a great thing to celebrate. Each fortnight at our assembly, we do hand out 2 Gubbio Respect Awards based on children following our school rules. And we also do implement a fortnightly focus at our school with a focus that we try and drive across the whole school in all different areas. And you'll see that in our school newsletter. With our homework, so kindergarten, they do have, across the school days are long, they're tiring for children. So when they get home, it'll be great if they can just read every night, practice their sight words. Engaging in play is a great way to learn. Helping you cook is a great way to learn. So different learning experiences at home. If you could also refer to the school newsletter. We always put some suggestions you could be trying at home. And if you haven't already, it will be a great idea to download the School Bag app. So a lot of school communication you'll find through the app. So you always get a notification when this important messages are sent out via the office or from us as well. And we do try and update our Facebook page with the learning experiences that happen in the classroom. So we did mention briefly earlier your child's sight words book. So that's just please stay in their reading groups, in their reading folder. So as a class, we focus on a new list of words every week. So we'll move on to a new list each week. So in the classroom, your child will be tested either on Monday or Tuesday based on the latest list that they have received. If they are able to read those words, they'll receive a new list. If there are quite a few words in that list that your child's unable to read, we just leave that because that's enough words for them to continue practicing for that week, and then we'll try again the week after. Please don't write in the book. You are most welcome to create some flashcards, create some memory games at home, and just help your child recognise and read those words in as many different ways as possible.
Okay, please make sure that your child is at school by the bell, which is at 8:55 in the morning. If they do happen to come late, and we understand that does happen sometimes, just please make sure they do come through the front office and they need to get a slip before they come down to class. So even if it's just a few minutes late, they can't just run down to the classroom. And as soon as they come back to school, please make sure that they either have a note, whether it be a handwritten note or medical certificate, or even just something written in their diary, so that we can then note that with the office ladies, because it is a legal requirement that we do write down why they were away. So it would be much appreciated if we do get that information as soon as possible. Also, if you do have to make any other appointments for your child, please try your best to make it out of school hours. Again, we do understand sometimes time is it's hard to make time for something after school hours, but again, much appreciated if you could try your best to do that. And if you are planning on going away, I know during COVID times we don't really go away too often, but if you do happen to go away for quite a long period of time, even just more than 1 or 2 days, please make sure that you do talk to Mrs. Bellinger, our school principal, so you can get that approved. As was previously spoken about, in the folder that your child does take home, every Friday afternoon, they will bring home our kindergarten newsletter. This will have all the information in it of things that we're going to be covering for the next week. It will have any important events coming up, or if we were to have to change the uniform that they're wearing on any day, that will be there. If there are any other important notes that we would like to mention to you, that will be in there. Any activities that could be helpful in particular what we will be focusing on in that week. We will have some suggested activities around that could then extend their learning at home as well. So please make sure that you do take that one out of their folders on a Friday afternoon and just have a quick look through. If you do need to contact us, please make a note in the school diary, and please make sure that you tell your child that there is a note in the diary so that they will get that out in the morning and say, I have a note for you. If you still are not able to contact us, just call the school and then we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can.
And sorry, just quickly, on Friday is our library day. So your child would need a separate library bag to their reading folder. So we shouldn't have any books from the library in their reading folder. That's to stay in their library bag. And we do borrow every Friday. So it can become quite heavy for your child if their library bag is in their school bag for the whole week. So that can come out on the Friday, stay at home for the week, and be returned in their bags on Friday.
So 2 important things are uniform and bedtime. Uniform. At the moment, it is getting a little bit cooler and more of the children are coming to school with jumpers and jackets. So please, please, please make sure that it has your child's name on it. Anything that you send to school, if it's a hat, if it's a jacket, if it's a container, please make sure all items are labelled. It makes it a lot easier for us, and if they end up in lost property, for us to be able to return them to you rather than going missing. And I know uniforms can be expensive, so please, I can't stress enough that you make sure your child's name is on every item that you send to school. We do encourage the students to take pride in their uniform and their appearance. It does link with one of our respect rules, which is respect for self. So as part of our grooming policy, we do ask that there are no shaved designs or number 1 hairstyles. So especially for the boys, none of that obvious shaved design and then a little bit longer on top, please. Or a line, we do ask that that is not an acceptable haircut for school. If the girls have long hair, we do ask that it's tied back. Also, any boys that have any hair longer than shoulder length, that needs to be tied back at school as well. Bedtime. As you probably have noticed, your little people are coming home probably very tired and exhausted after a busy day at school. So it is really important where possible, and also just for a good sleep hygiene practice, that you have a nice bedtime routine. And we do say that usually around 7:30 time to go to bed, to make sure that your child is getting adequate rest, ready for the day ahead the next day. So we do encourage you, even if it's just every night having the same kind of routine. It might be a story and then bed, whatever works for your family. But please, we do want to stress how important it is for your child to be getting to bed at a reasonable time each night. For food, we are very jealous of some of the lunches coming to school. Parents are amazing at sending some beautiful lunches to school with your children, so thank you for that. I do want to remind you that we are a nut-free school, which means that please do not send Nutella or peanut butter to school at all. Save those for home on the weekend. We do have some students that are highly anaphylactic, and that is life-threatening. So please, if we could ask for your cooperation with that and choose a different sort of filling for your child that is not nut-free, that would be great. As part of our morning, every morning, we do have fruit break, which is separate from recess. So we take a break from our morning learning, where the students get to listen to a story and are encouraged to have a healthy snack, which needs to be either a piece of fruit or vegetable. So it could be some carrot sticks, some cucumber, grapes, strawberries, whatever your child enjoys eating, but we do ask it must be fruit or vegetables. They're also encouraged to have some water at this time. So again, ensuring that your child has their own labelled water bottle is essential as well. So recess, we have another snack, or if you would prefer, another piece of fruit or vegetables for your child. So it is a separate break, just so that you're aware. We do have fruit break as well as recess. And then lunchtime, where we would encourage a sandwich or a suitable alternative to come to school. If your child is using the canteen, and some of them have been very grown-up little people going up to use the canteen, we do ask you to speak to them about how much they're allowed to bring to school. So we suggest no more than $2 to $3 is plenty. We also ask that the students eat their lunch from home before going to the canteen. So we do have eating time, and we are encouraging students to eat their packed lunch before going and choosing something from the canteen. Along with our PBS Braille focus for the last 2 weeks is using their manners and speaking politely, especially to all other adults around the school. And this includes the canteen. So if you could have a chat with them about using their manners at home, and even a little role play is always a good way to encourage students to be able to ask for what they want and use their manners while they're doing it. So some other upcoming events that we will be having at school, week 10 is Holy Week, and we will be going through Jesus' journey each morning with a little assembly. So we will be talking about Palm Sunday, Holy Thursday, the Last Supper, and Good Friday when Jesus is praying in the garden. So that will be a large focus, being a Catholic community, of our learning next week. Also coming up in term 2, we will be holding face-to-face parent-teacher meetings. So you will be able to meet us face-to-face and have any questions ready that you would like to ask us. It's a great opportunity for us to tell you how your student, your child is going on an individual level. And there will be more information. Again, if you have the School Bag app, that's a great way of getting all of our communication about school along with our newsletter. They will be held this time before the reports are given out in week 9. So that's a little change for us, that we're trying this time, having those meetings a little bit earlier than we usually do. We thank you for listening to our presentation, and we hope that we have been able to answer some of the questions you may have had and give you a little bit of an insight into what we do at school every day. It can be hard if you're asking your child and they're just really tired and don't have nothing. Yeah. Trust us, we're not doing nothing. We thank you for all of your support. It has been a little bit different starting the year off due to our current situation. So thank you, and thank you for those parents that we have had communication with already. As we've said before, if you ever have a concern or a question, please feel free to write a note in the diary or make an appointment through the office. We're always more than happy to discuss any question you might have. And we look forward to meeting you in term 2. And we would like to wish you all a very happy and holy Easter as well. Thank you.
Thank you.